Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Intermission podcast. It's our sort of first venture into this whole thing, and so we're just so honored to have all of you here, each with your own, let's say, value system, which is very exciting. And so we want to start off with, first of all, welcoming you on behalf of the Palace, because we're celebrating our 250th Jubilee year this year, and so there's a lot of new things that are happening in the Palace, culturally and otherwise. But today we come from a point of view of celebrating classical music life within the Palace. So tonight we also celebrate the artistic life that these walls of the Palace fill through classical music at the Bishop's Palace here in Oradea, Nagyvarad. And I'm really honored to be joined by four amazing guests. Xiao, violinist, and other things which we will expand on. Eszter Kaganovskiy, violist, and the co-founder of the Kaganovskiy series, which we're all happy to be part of. Sviatoslav, Perepelytsia, cellist, and almost a professional climber. Yeah.
I strive.
You strive, but there's nothing like striving, right?
Yeah.
Right. And Father Vakon Zsolt, who is not only a brilliant designer on media, but also the secretary of the bishop, and also a dear friend. So let's begin with a simple but powerful question to all of you that I think would be interesting to answer. And it might be a little general, but knowing the fact that you're participating in the opening season of 2026 of the Kaganovskiy series, celebrating the 250th Jubilee year of the Palace. And this is for all of you, is any reflections as to what does it mean for you guys to be, as performers, to be part of it, and the other part B of that question probably would be when you walk through the Palace, right? When you walk through it before a concert or in rehearsal, and otherwise when we're on the off time of between practicing hard what we're about to play, which is Debussy and Schumann string quartets. What do you feel here? How do you feel here? And any sort of thoughts about, as artists, about your responsibility, inspiration, the first things that sort of come to your mind. And we're going to start off with Jackie.
Okay, we're in the hot seat.
There's nothing like that.
Well, 250 years, it's, what is it, a quarter of a millennium, I'd say, so it's a very special number, I think, and also what it represents. It's almost like, well, it's basically 250 years of thinking about people choosing again and again to keep an institution, a culture, a whole alive, basically, and that's what's actually really special about it. It's also maybe also a time for reflection to see, okay, what can we do in the next 250 years? What are the things that we want to keep, and what are maybe the things that we want to maybe retire as well? I mean, because evolution, time. Yeah, these are my thoughts on 250 years.
Yeah,
as a general concept, of of celebration.
Mm-hmm. Well, the reason I kind of put you in the hot seat was that not only are you a violinist, but you have other very strong interests that you've been taking really seriously. What is it, this last year or so? You want to talk about that?
So
Since you mentioned these things about new things happening within the cultural.
well, for me personally, 2025 or the second half of 2025 has been quite a bit of a change where I decided to start a new master's degree, and this is quite a deviation from what I have done my entire life, and this is in a football business. And again, well, not again, but if you think about, also there are a lot of football clubs with a lot of history as well, and again, it brings it back to the fact that you have people. It's the people behind it who choose over and over again to keep it alive, and that's what ultimately makes it special.
But also sort of the development of the business as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I think as we were discussing earlier behind the cameras, that it takes a little bit other things as well that I think the classical music world can adapt in terms of what your specialty is in studying business management and in this area, which I think it would be very useful for institutions, classical music institutions, arts, culture institutions to adapt certain business models, I would say, right?
Absolutely, and this is something that you don't see, what would say, often enough, I think, in the classical world. Of course, I'm all for keeping tradition and how things are supposed to be played according to the composers, the stylistic, like upholding stylistically. But in terms of, let's say, audience engagement, I think this is I think the football world does very well, even looking beyond what their current fans are and looking to like the Gen Z, for example, who, let's say, in general cannot really watch a 90-minute football game, and they are much more into like second screens or short reels, and they're already thinking about how do we adapt football world to this? How do we, maintain for fan retention and engagement? And this is something that I think in the classical world we can also start thinking about how do we engage younger fans.
Yeah, I mean it's a quite experimental process because you kind of choose one thing and then sometimes it's a matter of elimination. When something doesn't work, you try something new. I think it's an interesting thing about repertoire. When we choose repertoire, just like in football, when you choose a certain player to do certain things, right? I'm assuming that's the case.
Yeah, and actually the general trend shows that younger fans these days, they tend to follow players more than clubs now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is
and it's driven in that way.
Exactly.
But also kind of I think we as classical musicians should learn from the football leagues as to in clubs that, like you said, they're building the fan base through their players, and I think there should be more room for younger great musicians to be able to access performance opportunities. So it's not kept in check. Of course, quality given that it has to be top level, which is natural selection. I understand. Yeah, and I think in football it's the same.
No, absolutely. I mean, there is a high turnover, let's say.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. Yeah, this is a fantastic thing. Eszter, would you expand going back a little bit, backtracking to that? What's your first sort of? Bring that mic over. What is your take on being in the palace, sort of holding down the torch of like Jackie mentioned, of this incredible, over a millennia of tradition, and carrying the torch of what, let's say, Michael Haydn and Potasic carried on through, what is that like? I mean, it's, you want to develop on those thoughts about your. It's more of a feeling wise than anything else, and there's nothing really too practical about it. There's practical things that we do to make those feelings come alive. I think that's our job as musicians, but in general.
Well, yeah, I think Jefferson turned to the so it's a long time, but it's also what's the first word that comes into my mind about is responsibility. I mean, the builder of this palace, Adam Potocic, he was not only a bishop, but he was actually highly educated and also like very involved in culture man who wanted to build a center for arts here, and for that reason he brought the best of Europe of the time, and to be able to continue this legacy is a responsibility.
Well, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would assume it feels quite special as a co-founder of the series to know that you're carrying on sort of
and
continuing the history, living through the history of the palace. And talk more about about Adam Potocic and to continue. So Potocic brought with him Dieter Storff and Michael Haydn, which was.
And so the point is that he was a highly educated man. Like he wanted to build a cultural center here, basically, and to continue this legacy, it's an honor, it's pressure, but at the same time it's a humongous inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like it's basically the dream job of any musician to play chamber music on a regular basis in such an environment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And we're gonna go over to.
And when I mean environment, I also mean the people with it. Really.
Yeah. So, Sviatoslav, what is your take on all of this?
Yes, it's amazing place. I'm very honored to be here and have an amazing opportunity to play in this great hall. I mean, just recently in December I was invited for the first time and had an opportunity to come here with my whole family, with my wife and my child, and just walking in the hall made a huge impact, not only on me, but I was walking with my girl, 4 years old child, and seeing a lot of paintings, the attire of the bishops, the history behind, it makes a profound impact on you, because the moment you walk through the door, you can already understand that it's no ordinary place. It was kept very, very specifically to serve a purpose, and it's very impactful purpose to be able to influence people's souls, keep the heart of the community together, and make sure that the culture is the center of the whole experience, together with religion and belief. So besides the belief in God, besides the religion of this place and huge impact, it's also huge influence of culture.
That's beautifully said. I mean, It's absolutely right. I mean, it's very well connected. I like that you mentioned also connected with religion and also mixed in together with history, religion, and culture, which are intertwined and have been intertwined for a very long time, right? For centuries. And so it's pretty big responsibility, like you said, about continuing that lineage forward, you know?
Yes, exactly.
I think that it's quite important for all of us, because I think musicians in general, we are sort of like acting in the way of diplomacy, you know, where we kind of are the voices, even though we might not say very much on the podcast, but on a rare occasion. But mostly we communicate with sound, and that's something you can transcribe within a group of communities that don't even speak your language. So I think both liturgically speaking, where voice is prominent, and music, which is sound, I think so they're so interconnected, because one can't act without the other.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, no, would you agree? And I think no better way to kind of develop that system is Father Vakon Zsolt. I think you might have a view and want to know what you think about all this as your first impressions as to what you transgress into the series, the palace. What does it mean as we go through the 250th Jubilee year, which is very exciting for all of us here at the palace, and for our family of musicians, which are not new to this. So I think it's quite important. So if you don't mind, as to sharing, first of all, something about yourself. As we said, you also carry a major torch in this whole thing.
Oh, thank you. It's a great honor to be here and to work with you guys. Yeah, it's I don't know how many years already.
It's been quite a few.
3 years.
Over 3 years.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's a great honor, and I think we just do our mission. We have a huge heritage here in Oradea, and we are honored to have this heritage, and we just put into the service of the community. We make it a place to meet people, make it a place where people can meet the beauty, right? And yeah, it's a kind of mission. It's a kind of preaching, right? Everything, all the beauty of the word speaks about the greatness of God, right? Okay, so we just try to be humble as we can, and we put what we have in the service of the community.
Would you say that, beautifully said, would you venture to say that music is an extension, a small extension of, let's say, liturgy and communication between, let's say, God and the people? The reason I ask that is because one violinist comes to my mind that has been a sort of a major factor maybe all violinists, great musicians, I should say, violinists and musicians are two different things, but artists such as Yehudi Menuhin, who was Jewish, but no matter that, he was communicating on a completely different universe, as if he was, without words, he was communicating with something higher than himself, and it was very visible. And to this day, I think it's a fantastic example, and I think one and the other go very well together, where this adoration of God and the spirituality through classical music as well exists.
Yeah, of course, and I think that beauty is a great bridge to people to meet with each other and helps us to get closer to God. So through art, through
That's the end goal, isn't it?
yeah, it is.
And hopefully it's going to make us better people. Right?
Yeah.
That's the end goal.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, we have these walls, and if you see walls, it's a symbol of separating, right? We have these 250 years old walls we have here, but I think if we don't turn these walls into bridges, then it's we fail. We fail. So we should turn these walls into bridges. Amen. Amen.
You said it. That's right. And also, like, I think what Sviatoslav was talking about and Jackie, about extending it to the younger, like your daughter, for example, right? Or like younger people going into football or and music, and is the young generation that is continuing that torch line, which is our responsibility to bring it to, right? Through Debussy and Schumann. Wonderful. Okay. A question kind of for you in terms of just to develop on what you were speaking of earlier, because you live in two large worlds, classical music, right?
Actually, 3 at the moment. but,
3?
yeah.
Okay, right. That's right. 3. Let's say 3 worlds. Okay, so but particularly the world of classical music, which you have basically all your education since you were a kid, right? So
Exactly, that's what I grew up with, basically.
right, and then of course the world of football and managerial and financial and chamber music is what we're doing this week is also sort of characterized by like teamwork and kind of playing off each other and communication without words, and besides in rehearsals when we yell at each other and, right? No, we're peaceful people, right? Okay. But sort of maintaining that highest level of communication. Do you see the parallels in between the worlds that you're in terms of how one connects with the other, in terms of maintaining that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think there's a lot of similarities between, let's say, high-level musicians and high-level footballers or any kind of athletes in terms of determination, in terms of dedication as well. I guess these are like the 2 most important things. I mean, of course, you do have in various cases, in various levels of talent, which contributes to a lot of but without this dedication, this focus, even like ritualistic aspects, like before a concert, I, for example, always put on red lipstick, and this has always become ritual. And you also know a lot of footballers who have their own rituals before a game as well. So there are a lot of similarities because they're putting on basically the highest possible performance. But of course, in football there is, also in music there are, let's say, external factors during the performance or game which you cannot account for during training or practice. And this is also something that you need to be able to prepare for mentally as well as physically.
Yeah, with all the football game plan, let's say, when you have a game plan that you're working toward, right? I think it's quite similar to what we're doing, and of course, famously, we in rehearsals we talk about one thing very specifically. We should do the piano here, and the pianissimo is going here, and there's a decrescendo going to the pianissimo, and all of a sudden there's a tempo coming in. But then in concert we might do completely. I mean, something
you
similar
have
to
to
that.
adapt.
You have to adapt.
You have to adapt in the moment. Maybe
the energy from the audience,
exactly,
I think, plays a big role.
inspiration or
Yeah.
I mean, luckily during a performance, the audience is not your opponent. So it's
Yeah, I find it very interesting that sort of a psychological makeup of a performance, I think that can, and it might sound very rudimentarily wrong, but when, for example, when we're young, we're trying to accept the audience, try as hard as possible for them to accept us, you know, because we're trying to play for them, right, technically, and that's what we're doing. The mission hasn't changed, right? But does the art of performance, to a certain degree, fail if we're trying to have the audience to be as happy and loving to us as possible, or is it we're trying to make our own performance selfishly better in order for the audience to come on the journey with us? For me, I found very interestingly that the latter is the one that works very well, but that happens by being on stage constantly for the last almost 4 decades. I mean, does that I want to know what you guys...
It makes sense because if the audience feels that you are being authentic, I think that they're going to enjoy it more. It's like
selfishly authentic. You're trying to make to enjoy and love exactly what you are doing. Therefore, the audience gets to you. They come along on your turn,
yeah.
Right?
So I'm gonna, for example, give an example of one of my favorite footballers, who I love watching him play at the highest level. This was Eszter when he played at Chelsea.
Yeah.
I mean, he is currently, let's say, not one of the most dedicated in terms of training, but when he played beautifully. It was inspiring. I mean, I'm not talking about when he went to Xiao, not specifically at Chelsea, and he was most like authentically himself, and this was a joy to watch. But then again, like
because he did it for himself.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes. But
Right.
then like it's also very subjective. Yeah. Music, sports. I think you cannot make everyone happy in sports.
But it is performance. I mean,
It is. Yeah.
like in everything else. I would assume, you know, for example, actors are the same thing. I think if Al Pacino didn't love every single line that he did, be it that he might have not liked the circumstance of where the character was, but he believed it, you know, Stanislavski method, where you completely belong there at that moment, even if in reality it's a wrong moment. Therefore, we come along in that line with him because it is so true. That's the truth that's being spoken at that particular moment, because that person is completely filled with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then in some cases we even like those characters that are not so savory, but we come along with that journey because that's the truth that they are selfishly employing, which is interesting. Therefore it becomes selfless. In a way, yeah. So, what are your thoughts? Does that happen in performance? Talking about selflessness and in terms of or selfishness in terms of making your own performance. Speak there for the audience, kind of joins you on that journey like any other great performer.
Well, I believe in authenticity, yes. We spoke about it. I mean, it always reminds me of, I think it was Aristotle which said that basically through the wave of sounds you basically transmit what's inside you to your audience. So you are responsible for yourself through the performance as well. You are responsible for the message, what you transmit to your audience. So
it is selfish, and therefore it becomes selfless. Interestingly enough. Less is more, always. Yeah. Sviatoslav. I will call you Slav. Slav. For many years I've been calling him Slava. He's a cellist, Rostropovich was a cellist. Yes. Following the great
Yeah, I absolutely agree with the points that you guys made. For me, it was also interesting to imagine that although in football there are strict rules that everybody has to follow, and obviously it evolves with time and evolves with technology. New rules were introduced, which some fans deemed makes the whole experience of watching the game not so authentic, because now you have millions of cameras pointing from every angle and you can instantly review the moment. And maybe, let's say 10 years ago was not really possible to see a foul play, and many times people got away with that, which made the game also unpredictable and beautiful. In our situation, comparing it to classical music, it's also interesting from the point of view that we have a lot of unwritten rules behind the preparation, the time on stage, before stage, mental clarity that you have to have, the unwritten or written rules of preparing for every single piece, which are usually written by different composers. So it's a concept of multiple composers and matching energy of, in our case, Schumann and Debussy in a single concert. It makes a profound experience because we are two different individuals. All of us are very different individuals coming together, finding the energy to flow together, work it and deliver it to the people who come to this beautiful hall. And as Father Zsolt said, that the halls, this institution, we should turn into the bridge and invite people to cross into the world of culture and find more time away from smart devices and enjoy more authentic life experiences through the experience of going to the concert. And another thing to add from my perspective about what Father Zsolt was saying, the institution being here for 250 years, the very walls represent also the culture that was kept and was waiting for the people to come and experience it, live it and give it more meaning. With every single visitor that comes, the meaning grows, more people join, atmosphere is changed with every single person added to the visitor or player in our case, and it makes it even beautiful every single time. Every new person, every new soul entering through the door, reaching into the potential of this place and maybe calling it even spiritual and cultural home for themselves for years to come.
That's beautifully said. I mean, and therefore inspiring the local community and communities outside of,
Yes.
Outside of the city, if not Europe, and I have to say even the US, because it gives an example of what is done here at the Palace together, because the team here is unbelievably huge. Everyone, even those that are not performing, but behind the scenes that are there completely on board, and I think that's what the strength is, right? It's the numbers and care for that. And I think Father Zsolt can expand on that at some point, but it's sort of like you said, it's a legacy that kind of has to be upkept all the time, and And we're kind of lucky in the sense that here we do have a lot of young people coming into to all, like not only classical music concerts here with the series, but also young people coming to see the art exhibitions, and then coming to the youth, meetings and stuff like that. I think it's growing and growing every single time. More people are coming here to see that, to experience that. And I like this idea that I've been always kind of thinking about is back in the 18th century when Stradivari was making instruments, or when Renoir was painting, or they got up and at sunlight and they were working until the very, very sundown, if not later. They had very few hours of sleep, and so again, like you said, the devices were not there, so their complete dedication, that's what they lived by. And I think in order to become great performance, we have to live that as well. I think with a certain degree of balance, of course, because we can't be without the devices. Now the world is run very quickly.
Yeah, it's a very interesting point. Also, we are in our modern day and age facing a completely new set of problems and the solutions. So, making music more available for people to enjoy, making recordings, making research, making better quality music available through devices that reproduce it or record it. It's a big success, but also making it so easily available to people at the touch of their finger. It's a little bit something that maybe makes the music lose authenticity and value in the eyes of people, because you are so close of accessing such a variety of pieces that you can listen just in the second. So this is why we need to promote experiences of live music, that it is not only this tailored, perfect finished product of a CD recording.
I think that's the world that we're living now. Now is the time of live performances only. I mean, nobody is really buying CDs anymore, or even downloading classical music unless they're nerds like us. But yeah, that's what you said. I mean, but which leads me to the thing of playing favorite pieces. Sort of bucket list pieces that you would want to do that you can't live without, or it could be a composer that you would want to hear at the Palace, meaning perform at the Palace. What would it be? And don't say Debussy.
Complete Beethoven quartet.
Which one?
Complete Beethoven quartets.
Oh well. That's called ambition. I'm not sure that. Let's take a few years to prepare for that.
I will cover that with Shostakovich complete.
Yes.
Complete works. Yes.
Shostakovich complete works. 4.
Yeah. Let's see. There we go.
Okay.
Whole bunch of great music to explore. I mean, yes.
Okay. And you?
Bucket list.
Bucket list pieces.
Aren't you already playing them all?
All right. Well, there goes the bucket list.
But by the way, I would like to mention, I don't know if I didn't really speak up to this point, but I just wanted to mention on the 250th anniversary and all this nice gathering that, it's such a constellation of stars that we can be here. And nowadays when we know that how much, like, let's say classical music kind of struggled, but not only, but generally culture is a little bit in a hardship in a way, and we could dwell on the reasons for it, but that's not the point. But we are really lucky that really the stars have aligned in a way that there is a person like His Excellency Father Böcskei László, Father Bishop, who continues the legacy of Adam Potacic, Bishop, really. And this also reminds me of Seneca, who said that what is luck after all? I mean, luck is when opportunity meets preparation. And I think this is how it happened. I mean, we coming here in the right time, kind of really led by God. I mean, I cannot say it in any way. And finding this space and being able to start a series, I feel like we are truly blessed. And we are truly creating the dream of every like classical musician, really, to be able to perform chamber music at such a venue.
On a high level.
Yeah. Sorry, I just had to say it.
I think it's absolutely right. And but just sort of final closing before we end, we have to go rehearse.
Yeah.
250 years ago, the palace began its journey. Today, through music collaboration, a shared vision together, even though we come from many different worlds and many different interests, it still continues to speak, and it will always continue to speak, not only of history, but of basically living art. And so, with that said, I want to thank all of you guys. Thank you for coming and being part of this celebration of sorts and journey and musical journey, which is just an incredible experience to play with all of you, and it's to be continued. And all the best until we see each other on stage. Well, we have to do rehearsal now, but as painful as that might sound, but there's no gain, but we without little suffering.
Pain, no gain.
No, except there you go. Well, there it is. And this is us signing off at the intermission podcast, episode 1. All right, it's been fun, and thank you all and all the audiences out there. Have a great time, and we look forward to seeing all of you on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, and until also next installment of episode 2 of Intermission. And that's us signing off. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.